Greetings, lovers of change and peace lovers. I welcome you to Live with Chatufa. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. This is the gospel of the freedom of the Zimbabwean people. We are watching activities that are happening in the nation. We are watching the different developments that we are seeing in the nation. And indeed, we are seeing that God's promise is fulfilling itself every day that comes. I want to welcome everyone who is watching us from all the four corners of the world. We are here live and direct. For those that are watching us for the very first time, please remember to like, to subscribe, and to share so that you can continue also to be part and parcel of this show. Each time that we are coming through with our live shows, you'll be able to be notified. It is very, very important. A lot is happening in the country. We are hearing news. And as always, we continue to say, do not panic, for God is in control. We can hear a lot of what they are saying around ZANU-PF conniving with its CCC-PF, and people are panicking. Don't panic about those things. God is in charge. God is in control. The will of God is going to happen over the nation, whether people like it or not. God is going to come out triumphant at the end of the day. We are seeing the desperation also in ZANU-PF and the desperation of Mnangagwa as he unleashes the police in a bid to save the dying Zig currents. And this is very, very surprising when we consider what has been said by the Reserve Bank governor when he has been countlessly saying that he has already beaten the black market. You are saying black market guys are going to be shocked. They will not know what has hit them. But we are surprised now when we hear them speaking like this. This is Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube says the authorities are going to deploy more law enforcement agents to deal specifically with and arrest money changers. And we've also seen other media also saying police have been unleashed to deal with the issue of the money changers in the cities and in the towns. But our main question is, what is really happening? We thought maybe the introduction of Zig, like the John Part 2 was saying, Mshayaban, saying he has just already destroyed the black market by introducing the Zig. So what does this mean to us? This just indicates that Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF, whatever that they are talking about in terms of the protection, the strength, and the existence of Zig is just a big lie. Remember what they said. They said they've changed again and started to say that the bond note was not backed by any gold and the like. Nick Mangwana has been saying that, and he says this one is different. It is backed by the gold, and that gold which they failed even to account for, even to present to the Zimbabwean people. They failed. Only a briefcase in a corner that they had at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. But our question is, if Zig, according to them, is so strong and is the strongest currency that is going to survive, does it need to be enforced through police? Why are police going into the streets? Why are law enforcement agents being unleashed into the streets? To do what? Because if this money is going to be surviving and begged, as they say, there's no need even to go to fight the people that are changing money in the streets. So we are trying to look at many scenarios here, right? The first scenario that we want to look at, family, is we want to ask ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF, we know that there is no Berudi change that is operating. We know that you cannot go to the bank and get the US dollar. We know that you can never go to the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe and get the US dollar. US dollars at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe are only obtained by the ZANU-PF echelons and nobody else. It is just meant and separated. When you hear them talking about bank rate, it is only for those that are up there. It is for Vene. And Vene are taking this and putting it in the black market. So we are saying, if Zimbabweans can't get US dollar from the banks, from the Berudi change, from the ATMs, okay, then ZANU-PF has said they cannot force filling stations because they know that filling stations belong to Mnangagwa and Tagwire. They are saying they can't force filling stations to take the ZIG. They've already shown in other departments of government, like the passport office, toll gates, they are refusing to take the ZIG. They still want the US dollar. So what we are saying is, where do they expect Zimbabweans to get the US dollar? You are paying civil servants in the ZIG. And when they go to the supermarkets, prices are pegged in a US dollar. When they want to go to the passport office, when they want to go to the filling station, when they want to pay maybe in any other places like hospitals and the like, you find that it's just a demand of US dollar. Where do they expect the US dollar to come from? ZANU-PF government must show citizens where to go and buy the US dollar after they've paid them in the ZIG. That is the main question that we want to ask, question number one. And question number two that we want to ask is ZANU-PF going to be able to arrest itself? Because the black market is flourishing because of ZANU-PF. It is Mnangagwa's own children, Kudata Gwire, the ministers, the people in the Politburo, influential people in ZANU-PF who are getting the US dollar from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe and flashing it into the black market, and they take the local currency, they take it back to the Reserve Bank and buy US dollar and circulate, and that's how they are making their money. People like Wikno Jivayo and all the like, they are into all these deals. So is ZANU-PF going to be able to arrest itself? That is the main question. So when we look at all this, we are simply seeing that ZANU-PF is just playing some kindergarten games. This is not going to go anywhere. This is not going to work because they cannot arrest themselves. And this issue is not the first time that we are hearing this. This has always been said. This has always happened. They've said this many, many times in the past. But at the end of the day, still we will find this same scenario again coming back. And we are seeing them attacking people that are giving them advices on what exactly should be done. The currency of the nation is never supposed to be enforced by the law. Which country, let's begin from our own neighbors, the SADC countries. Which country have you ever heard that police are enforcing the use of their local currency? Not even one single country. Why? Because their systems are in place, the monetary policies are intact, and there is a rule of law in the country. Everyone is treated fairly. There's no special cash cow that is, given preferences. But unfortunately, ZANU-PF has caused Zimbabwe to be a lawless country. Some people are kicking the door, right, the very door of the Reserve Bank, and enter because of political power. They enter there and they can come out with the bags and bags of US dollars. So ZANU-PF cannot try to tell us that enforcement agencies can be engaged to make sure that the citizens accept the ZIG. It will not work. Like we were saying in the last show, we were saying ZANU-PF itself is the one that has killed the ZIG by first being the first one to refuse the use of ZIG in its ministries, in its departments, and as well as buying of fuel. They have killed the ZIG before it even started really circulating in the economy. So there's nobody to blame when we look at this. ZANU-PF and Mnangagwa are simply playing some funny games, which at the end of the day is not going to yield any kind of result whatsoever. We have been looking and talking about these issues, but unfortunately, there is nobody who consults the masses. ZANU-PF does not consult the Zimbabweans when they are doing all these policies of theirs and their plans. They just go ahead in a dictatorial fashion. They dictate everything, even the economy. They want to command the economy. When now it comes to the time of implementation of those things that they forced on Zimbabweans, they still want to force Zimbabweans to accept it. It doesn't work like that. When the citizens resist their move, their policies, it is because to begin with, you have made a problem. You have created a problem from the foundational stage. The foundational stage is that engage. Zimbabwe needs to have dialogue. Not this stupid dialogue that the ZANU-PF is trying to do with its surrogate of CCC that we know that it's a CCC PF. We are talking about genuine dialogue where the political climate of Zimbabwe must be normalized. Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF must stop to be a rogue government. They must stop behaving like a mafia government. They must show and demonstrate to the whole world that they are indeed, standing for democratic principles. If they don't do that, Zimbabwe remains a banana republic. Zimbabwe remains in a lawless country, and Zimbabwe remains a country that cannot harness or even enforce its own principles and its own the policies that they are giving out. And at the end of the day, they want to blame the masses. If you look at the reaction that we see on social media from people like Nick Mangwana, George Charampa, and Varakashi, and many other ZANU-PF supporters, they are bent on blaming citizens of Zimbabwe. And yet it is very, very unfair. Instead, they need to look back into themselves, to introspect. ZANU-PF must learn to introspect. They mustn't just be quick to want to blame everyone else except themselves. They can blame everyone else, but still that does not change anything. They've shifted blame all the time. Their whole lifespan of ZANU-PF, they live on shifting blame. It's the sanctions. It's the opposition. It's Nelson Chamisa. It's Changirai. It's so and so. They just shift blame everywhere. But at the end of the day, they have never succeeded in getting away with it, because the situation will still boil back again to the same scenario, and they will still have to look at situations or solutions of how to deal with what is happening in the country. Our country is an injured country. Our country is battered. Our country is shattered. We really need new leaders in Zimbabwe. If we continue in this trajectory, we are going nowhere. We are definitely going nowhere. They have made the Zimbabwe Republic Police an enemy of the citizens. This is why it becomes very, very difficult to deal with the crime. Because when you deal with the crime in the country, the police are supposed to be friends of the citizens. Because it is the citizens that help police. It is the citizens that give tips. It is the citizens that can even protect police. But unfortunately, ZANU-PF has bastardized the police and the security sector, and they've made them a ZANU-PF police. Once the citizens have discovered that the police in Zimbabwe are a ZANU-PF police, they've started to resist them. So wherever that they go, they are not going to have any cooperation whatsoever. And without the cooperation of the masses, whatever that they want to enforce is not going to work, let alone trying to enforce policies that are of economics. They are not going to work. So family, we are just having a bunch of funny leaders who don't have a clue, leaders who don't know where they are taking the country to. You can never ever fight economic wars physically. Economic wars are never fought that way. They were supposed to simply start to do things in the correct way. The disaster is in Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. The disaster is in the Ministry of Finance. If Mnangagwa is serious about solving that issue, he must fire. Heads must roll in the RBZ. Heads must roll in the Ministry of Finance. And some neutral people are brought in. People that are not going to be singing like political parrots, like what we are seeing Mnangagwa beginning to do. We really need to have professional people that are not aligned to ZANU-PF. Because ZANU-PF can take a technocrat, a professional somebody, and at the end of the day, they want to bring that person into the political fold. That's what they did with Mthuli. Mthuli was coming as a technocrat. I remember Mnangagwa saying, my government is going to be comprising of even technocrats that are coming from outside. And he was giving examples of people like Mthuli. But if before long, Mthuli was already campaigning as an MP of ZANU-PF, we've had Mthuli also being pushed towards Politburo and things like that. That's a wrong thing. It's a wrong move, because the moment he becomes a political appointee, you will have to dance to the tune of the political party. So who in the political party of ZANU-PF can go against ZANU-PF policies? Who in ZANU-PF can stand up against Mnangagwa and say, your policies are counterproductive? It won't work. It's not happening. And this is why we are finding ourselves in the situation that we are. Until ZANU-PF begins to be serious about solving the problem of the country, we are not going to go anywhere. We just have to watch and see what is going to be happening to this ZIG. The moment it comes out, it is already crushed. This is going to be the worst performing of all currencies that we have seen coming in. And I'm so surprised if Mnangagwa is attaching the name of ZIG to Mnangagwa, while ZIG is going to turn into a toilet paper just the moment that it is finally hitting the streets. Because already it is falling, it is dying, because ZANU-PF and Mnangagwa themselves are the ones that put the first bullet in the head of this new currency. So nobody to blame. They just have to blame themselves. If they want things to change in the country, they must change the way they are doing things. If they want things to the economy to begin functioning, they must change their approach. You cannot continue to use the same approach and yet expect a different result. It is not going to work. So ZANU-PF must wake up from its slumber. ZANU-PF must smell the coffee, and they must begin to be realistic. I wish somebody would wake up from the deep slumber of ZANU-PF, right within ZANU-PF, and start to speak sense and say, guys, we really need to make things work. Mshayavan was saying he has defeated the black market. Why are police being unleashed into the streets if what he was saying was true? So we are tired of these politicians who just speak for the sake of speaking, for the sake of having to say something. And yet they know deep down in them that whatever that I'm saying here to the nation does not work, does not hold water, and it is not going to change anything. We are tired of people that are just hero worshipping Mnangagwa, whereas Mnangagwa is dragging the country into the mud. ZANU-PF must go, and we must continue to demand freedom. Zimbabwe deserves to be free from ZANU-PF and their policies and their beliefs and their hero worshipping. All their bootlicking is what is causing the country to be where it is today. We want new leaders. We want a government that works for the people. We want a government that upholds the principles, the constitution of the land. We want a government that can uphold the law of Zimbabwe, so that Zimbabwe becomes a country that observes its own laws and everything is straightened. A proper police, a proper military, proper judges, proper courts, and government institutions that are not partisan. Then and only then can we start to see the country beginning to take direction. Zimbabwe is not going to take long to recover. What it only needs is the proper leadership. Once we have the right leadership in the country, once we have the correct government, people that are correct in their thinking in terms of governing and running the country, we will see the country, everything will start to just get into place. Right now, you don't even need police in the streets. If people would start to get the US dollar direct from the counter in the bank, direct from the counter on the in the Beirut changes, if US dollar would start to come out of an ATM, who would be going to 4th Street? Who would be going to Mabare to look for money or money changers? Nobody will be doing that. For what reason? So those people will automatically fall without having to send police with the baton sticks and dogs and guns and tear gas in the streets to fight physical battles. The ZANU-PF must just learn to be factual, to be frank, and to tell themselves the truth. Otherwise, we are going nowhere as a country. We need to continue praying for a free Zimbabwe. We need Zimbabwe freed from these hooligans. They are clueless. They don't know what they are doing. And they are delaying the progress of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe deserves to move. Zimbabwe deserves to go and compete with other nations of the world out there. But because of the prison of ZANU-PF, we continue to go in circles. And very soon, again, we are back to that inflation rate that they ran away from that old currency that they phased out. So it's just a vicious cycle, and Mnangagwa is doing nothing and is not moving the country towards where the country must go. Otherwise, family, this is what we had. We are going to be having 2 more shows that are coming on the main channel, Chatufa Television Production, and we are going to be talking about Chris Mnangagwa, who is giving Mnangagwa a new name, and we are also going to be looking at many other issues that are happening in the nation. So I'm so glad to see the family. Yes, somebody saying it has been long. Indeed, it has been long. Medicine Pofa, how are you? Says, hello, Chatufa family. Greetings to you. Thank you very much. Dambudzo Maguru says, love you, Chatufa. Love you so much. My champion, how are you? I hope you are blessed. Mary Mandesa says, hello, Chatufa. Thank you so much for the greeting. We are doing well. I hope you are good. Gaine Kondo says, they only invest where they are making money, massive profits. But all I know, things will change. God is in it. Yes, definitely. God is watching over our nation. Gogo Bweya says, good day, Chatufa family. God is in it. ZANU PF is now desperate to the extent of being like fools. Indeed, the foolishness is up the roof, I'm telling you. But there are days also of their last end is now. We are seeing them just as a horse that is kicking its last, because they are very, very desperate and they've lost any idea of how to move on from here. The only thing left is just a collapse, and that collapse is soon. God is in it. Freedom is coming. The freedom of the Zimbabwean people is now. God bless you, and God bless Zimbabwe. Till we meet again in the next show, exactly 7 o'clock. We are on live, Chatufa Television Production. Remain blessed. Love you, family.